Yo.
Welcome back to Be Rad the podcast. We're here. I forget which episode this is, but
I think it's 43.
43, or was the last one 43?
I'm not sure. 43.
43 or 44.
44. Yeah.
Yeah, one of those. And we're coming back with some super exciting news on the running front. Is I am going to go back to Western States for the first time since 2017.
Whoa!
To commentate.
To commentate?
I know. I'm super excited.
For how long are you going to be commentating for?
Like 24 hours in one 24-hour stint.
24
Luckily,
hours.
people are getting really fast, so it might be shorter. But like, I'm not quite sure. I think it sounds like it's just going to be a whirlwind couple days. I just talked to, I'm not sure if this is public, but I'm going to be, so I'll just be vague. I'm going to be on a panel on Wednesday. I get there Tuesday night. I'm flying into San Francisco. Maybe gonna crash with my brother who's there. Sam, if you're listening, can I sleep on your couch? And then drive up there super early in the morning. Have a panel as part of, I think it might be part of TrailCon. I'm not 100% sure. And then I'm spending a couple days doing pre-race interviews.
Pre-race interviews for a couple days, and then you go into a full
commentating
24-hour sesh of commentating.
And then I am doing post-race interviews on Sunday. Yeah, and then
It sounds like its own ultra.
I know it will be. I'm going to be trashed. And then on Monday, I get to go rafting with some of my buddies. So
Wow, hopefully you can stay awake on the raft.
yeah,
What level are the rapids?
I don't know. I mean, Sean texted me and he was like, maybe you can guide some of the class 3, class 4. And I was like,
Class 4?
I was like, I haven't guided.
Holy moly.
I've been in a raft once since 2015 when I was a raft guide.
Yeah.
So
I was a raft guide too. For those of you out there who don't know, there are class 1 through 5 rapids. So
Yeah.
4 is really gnarly rapids.
yeah,
5 is like terrifying and potentially
really scary.
deadly.
So good for Sean for doing that. Sean is like one of my BFFs, was my bridesmaid.
Yeah. It's the American River.
Yeah, American.
Oh, that's such a cool river.
Yeah. So I'm going, all day on Monday. I'm going to be trashed. Hopefully I'll get a run in first. I'll probably be sleeping at Lewis's house.
Classic.
He doesn't know it yet, I don't think.
Classic cat. I'm going to be trashed. Hopefully I get a run in before I go rafting. After I stay up for 5 days straight commentating.
Yeah. And then right now I'm leaving on Tuesday to go back home, but I'm debating just staying in California or somewhere else until that's Momo. She's an itchy girl, but until I go to Colorado for 3 weeks, where I will be also commentating High Lonesome 100.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's it's like a 17-mile loop up above tree line.
That's at the High Lonesome Loop in Colorado. I'm commentating High Lonesome 100-mile race, which is in the BV area. Honestly,
Whoa.
that if you can get into the lottery and we can do that one day, that might be a super sick first 100 for you to do.
Really?
And the race directors are like some of the coolest people.
Does it start in BV?
Yeah, it starts and finishes in BV.
Oh, so there's a big loop there?
Big loop and some like major backcountry trails.
Wow.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's really cool. Sounds like
It's
right up my alley.
It's freaking gnar. I mean, your first 100K, it's similar to Never Summer.
So it's like brutal.
Yeah.
And really high up.
Really high up, brutal, but also like the last little bit is quite runnable. So it's like on part of the runnable section of the Colorado Trail, and then it like takes you up into the high country. Like back around the collegiate peaks. You don't summit any 14ers, but you're like in between those trails right there, and then you get off, I think, Monarch Pass, and then you like run down and around. It's honestly sick. I'm so excited to go to Colorado. Knock on wood, I'm gonna be in a van, and so I'm just gonna like bum around. I'm gonna spend a lot of time in that area. I'm so stoked.
Oh, lucky. That's so fun.
Yeah, it feels like it's gonna be going back to my roots, because when I first moved out to Colorado, I was just like living out of my car. I mean, this is gonna be Lux if I have a van. And it won't just
Deluxe. Yeah. Well, we had a really nice van for a little while there.
Yeah.
But no, I remember that car because I saw you while you were living out of it, and it was not as deluxe. It was hilarious. I mean, it was a pretty nice car. It was a Toyota Highlander, right?
Yeah, it was a 2009 Toyota Highlander.
Yeah, so for that era, like 2015, 2014?
Nice. It was like basically new.
It was like a pretty new car
Yeah.
for that time. And then you even built out like a little bed platform with all your little stash spots for your clothes and your food and all your dirty dishes that I'm pretty sure you just licked those clean every night.
Or my dogs did.
Yeah, you're an absolute savage back then.
I know. I have a really funny Colorado story with this car. Can I tell it?
Yeah.
So I was crewing and pacing somebody that I'd never met before at Hard Rock 100. I'd spent like basically that whole summer, part of it, weeks at a time, bumming it in Silverton, just because I was in love with that race. And and then I paced it a couple years later, and I was like, holy crap, I need to be really ready for this. But anyway, I was crewing and pacing, and I just finished pacing, and I was supposed to go to the next crew spot. And I get in my car, and all of a sudden I have a flat. First of all, don't know how to change a flat tire. Second of all, and I'm downtown Silverton, and someone had dropped me off in my car after pacing handies. And I had built my bed over my wheel, or over my spare, like that. So, and I had no tools or any idea like how to get to it. Building that bed was the first time I'd ever used power tools. Mm-hmm. So it's in the middle of the night, and luckily it's Silverton, and so everybody knows about Hard Rock. I start like knocking on doors, any door that I can see a light on, and some guy comes out and first of all, takes apart my bed and changes my tire for me at like 2 a.m. And yeah.
Wow, that's a really nice
community.
guy.
Yeah, I know.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then he just changed your tire and was like, all right, you're good to go.
Then he
on your way.
built my bed back.
He built it back?
He built it back, yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, really nice. There's some really nice people up in those mountain towns.
I know.
Also some really far out people too.
Yeah, totally.
All kinds, It's really fun.
I know. And that race just brings everybody. So I'm super excited this is like exactly 3 weeks in Colorado, and then we're going to take the van to Speed Goat too. So
yeah, over to Speed Goat in Utah.
Yeah.
Where is that? What town in Utah again?
It's not a town. It's on a ski resort, Snowbird ski resort.
Snowbird ski resort, yeah.
Yeah.
And you're running the 50K,
yeah.
Right? I'm running the 28K.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess right before that, I'm going to be surfing for 2 weeks in Indonesia, where there's not really as much running. So
yeah, and we'll get to that. But first I want to talk about Paul.
Paul, what a homie.
I know, what a homie. So I've had a couple calls with Paul, the balanced runner. I think I've talked about him before, but I'll link his account. And ever since Madeira, I've been kind of feeling like total shit. So after Madeira, I reached out and I was like, Paul, please help me. My cat, like my calves and legs are still such a limiter. Mm-hmm. I remember going up the first climb right behind the woman who ultimately won. And I got to say, like, first, like, my fitness wasn't there either. And I like ended up puking. So like, I'm not saying I would have won if my calves were better, but like chasing her up that first climb, that wasn't my fitness. That was my calves, and I was, I could tell, like, I wasn't breathing that hard and my calves were just burning. And so I reached out to him. Mm-hmm. And I've had a couple calls, but this is the first one that you got to see.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was just being I was helping you have a better conversation with him by filming you running back and forth on the street. And I guess usually we live on a little dirt road, and usually you just set up your computer on the street
in the shade, because my computer sometimes overheats too,
so that he can like see you like running back and forth with your computer. And so I'm surprised that he was able to get anywhere with that. you can't see that much with just like a one, just that camera. So
well, my problems were so big at first. Yeah. I think they were obvious. And then this one, you know, this is a breakthrough session.
I was able to help him like see you running up and down the road like several times, following you the whole way through. And then he was like, oh yeah, like this, and this. And I learned a lot. He's a really good coach.
Yeah. And a smart person. And I just, you know, I read a thing today, and it was just like one of those hot take things, and from a PT, and it was like, don't, like a red flag if a PT tells you to fix your gait. And here I was fixing my gait, and I was like, oh my God, this is helping so much. And I think there's room for both. I think like PT is king. And if you do PT and you're still having problems, then there's something up with your gait. And I've seen like and I'm going to continue doing PT, and I work with a really great PT, so I'm going to continue to do that forever. Shout out Cam. But these little cues have helped me so much. So basically you were to explain what he was telling me.
Well, previously you might have been leaning back too much.
Yeah.
So in order to propel yourself forward, a lot of the power came from your calves and your foot on the ground pulling back, mainly using your calf muscle to propel you forward. Instead, you need to be leaning forward just a little bit, and more like keeping your spine really straight and like leaning your whole body forward, and having most of your force focused on going like straight up and down.
Yeah.
And if you're leaning forward a little bit, then you move forward automatically.
Yeah. But what is so funny is, so this time we actually didn't work on the hinge at all. We worked on that last time, and this time he was just explaining what would happen. So the only thing that we fixed was actually how I interacted with the ground. So I basically had no knee drive, and it's because I was, like you said, just like pulling the ground up. And instead, it's just like one simple cue. He told me to push the ground away from me.
Yeah, you're pulling the ground back.
Yeah, pulling the ground back before.
Versus like pushing yourself away from the ground. And when you did that, you started activating more muscles. And so you were using all of the muscles in your legs versus just your really strong calves. But instead, you like activated all your muscles. And I told him, oh man, it would be so much scarier now if Kat was trying to bum rush you like on the street.
I know.
If you were chasing after me and looking like that, I would actually be kind of terrified because you look really strong.
Dude,
like
what's
that.
so funny is the next day I had like 2 times 10 30-second strides. So 2 sets of 10 30-second strides. And there's a bunch of kids on this bike path, and I felt like I was rushing them. I was like, but what's interesting about the hinge too, he actually told me not to keep my spine really straight. He was like, if you try and keep your spine straight, you're just going to end up leaning back. But he told me to actually like round my shoulders a little bit. And I was like, it feels like I have a hunchback. And he was like, that's how it should feel. He was like, you're so erect that like you need to hunch yourself a little bit, and that will put you into a hinge. So that's something super interesting. So the 3 things that we fixed so far are my arm swings. He's told me to have, and I think this is the number one things that he fixes for people. And he's told me to just like box it said I should feel like a boxer, and I should be hitting my chin, which I noticed such a big difference there. And I've actually started incorporating that advice into my athletes training that I coach. And then the second thing was just to be hunchbacked a little bit. So to like be a little bit more compact, and that has helped, but it was really hard for me to get into that if I was fatigued. And then this last thing has been probably the biggest breakthrough. It's just pushing myself away from the ground, and really, again, it's just like a ground feel thing. It's not like anything big. And I think that's what's hard about form, is it's just like, again, how I'm interacting with the ground and how I push away from it.
Yeah. Hopefully your calves can get a break too, because they've been bearing the brunt of the work for years now.
I know. Well, big sign is I had those strides yesterday, and when I woke up in the middle of the night to pee, my calves weren't. Like, usually it's really hard for me to stand up and straighten my leg because my calves are just like attached, they're so big and they are pulling on my hamstrings.
Wow. That's probably why your hammies are always so tight.
Yeah, probably. So.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna be able to touch your toes in like a year.
Maybe. I don't know. I've never been able to touch my toes.
How many ultra runners can touch their toes?
I mean, most of them, I think.
Most of them?
Yeah.
Because they have a better gait than you?
Well, I think
this
is, and I'm not alone in saying this. Chris Lee, who's a brilliant strength trainer out of Boulder, Colorado, he said that I had the longest femurs of any athlete that he's seen, and
Yeah.
proportionately to my torso, he's like, it doesn't look weird, but like, it's crazy. He's like, you're so bottom heavy that even though your core is really strong, it literally can't support your legs.
Yeah.
So, and it makes sense. So like anytime I do like stuff that's, when you're like in a V,
Yeah.
it's like I have a strong core and I can't keep my legs up like that. And it's because they're so long and my torso, like if I bend over, my rib bone and my hip bone touch.
Yeah, you look like your legs look like maybe 2/3 of your body mass.
Yeah, they probably are. My mom says that I look like a spider.
Oh, fascinating.
Because I have really long arms and really long legs, and my torso is just like a tiny little ball.
That's funny.
Yeah. But
Nice.
So that's, talking about workouts of the week. I think that was mine, those just working with Paul, and then those 30-second strides. Honestly, it was so freaking hot, so I was trying not to look at pace. And, with these strides, the goal is power, so I was actually extending some of my recovery. So I got the most out of the power, and that allowed me to run quite fast.
Yeah. You're getting more power out of each stride, so you're naturally going further, so your turnover was actually decreasing.
Yeah, my turnover was slower. But because it was so hot, I was giving myself more recovery so I could really focus on getting that power, because that power does heat up your core. And I didn't want the heat to be a factor in that power output, because that's what I was working on, was efficiency and like speed. And it was really fun. It was super hard just because it is so hot here right now. I mean, like the actual temps aren't that hot. They're like low 80s, but because it's 85% humidity every day, it's insane. And that's like in the winter time when it's really nice here, it's like low 70s. So,
yeah,
which is prime running weather, but
yeah,
summertime, it's, we ran easy this morning and it felt like 1 mile in, I was like, I have a wet blanket on.
Yeah. It's like all of a sudden around, 8:30 or 9, it's just, the switch flips, and it just, the humidity times heat gets really aggressive. But I feel like it's good training too, in a way, to prepare you for the heat.
Yeah, definitely to prepare me for the heat. The one thing that I'm not getting though is just that turnover for long periods of time, because my heart rate will get higher at the end of my workouts. So I can't sustain a pace that I would be able to at somewhere else, even like Flagstaff, which was 7,200 feet.
Yeah.
I mean, the workout that I did the other day, I did that same workout in Flag, and it was like 30 seconds faster.
Wow.
In Flag. So, yeah, really, really interesting. But I'm excited to go to Colorado, and I do think it's good training. It definitely makes me tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I mean, if people are adapted to the heat, you can tell that they're way more efficient when they go to another heated spot versus somebody who isn't adapted to the heat. Like, for Thailand, for instance, if you're training a lot in Hawaii and you go to Thailand, it's not that different.
No.
But
and I think like the heat, it'll be hot when I'm in Colorado, but because that humidity aspect isn't there, it won't feel so bad.
Yeah.
The humidity is the killer.
As long as there's not too much smoke in the air. That's the one kicker with Colorado.
Hopefully I'm going before wildfire season, but I don't know. I was talking to one of my athletes in Steamboat today, and he was like, "Oh yeah, it's like pretty much all dry already."
Wildfire season is longer than it's ever been before.
Yeah.
So.
Well, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully not. I think it's just one of those luck of the draw things.
Yeah, totally. Well, this was a particularly bad water year in Colorado, but yep. So how's surfing training going?
Oh, my workouts. Doing good. I've been surfing a little bit. There's a little swell, so I got to go surfing a few days in a row. Honestly, I'm feeling like great with surfing. I got a couple little cover-ups, a little tubes, and it was really fun. But the thing that hurts the most for me right now is my skin, like my stomach and my board short, like my legs sometimes get rash.
Yeah.
Just from rubbing in the salt water, and like depending on what sort of top I'm wearing, or if I am wearing a shirt at all, like sometimes just my stomach skin against the wax. And I feel like during the winter time when I'm surfing all the time, my skin just gets stronger.
Yeah.
It's like it just becomes more tough, so I can handle it more. But in the summertime when I'm not surfing all the time, it's like that's the thing that's gonna be you gotta prepare for that. And how you do that is with Vaseline or like lube, like ultra running,
Yeah,
if there's
lube
friction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're so right about the skin getting tougher. Like, because I was in Flagstaff and then raced Madeira and then didn't run for a little while after, or like didn't do long runs. When I got back to Hawaii and started training again, my chafe was like so bad.
Yeah.
And I had to recallus my skin.
Yeah.
It was brutal.
Yeah, no, it definitely is not super easy to get used to, because if you go from 0 to 60 and all of a sudden you're doing a marathon sesh where you're surfing every single day for 10 days, it's like you don't have time to develop that strength in your skin. So, yep, I'm just figuring that out. I've been running and not doing that much else.
What was
other than
your
working
workout of the week?
Workout of the week. Does surfing count?
Well, what about your one man that you got to christen?
Oh yeah, I got to go paddle my one man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about it because it was my first time ever after owning it for over a year. I just never fixed it up. There was a few like minor pieces of damage on it, so I didn't want to take it out and cause further damage. So I had to like sand it, patch part of it with carbon so that it would strengthen the hull, and then repaint the whole thing, prime it and then paint it, and then I was able to take it out. And so I paddled it. That was a pretty easy paddle. I probably only went a couple miles upwind and then back a couple miles back downwind. So not a super long paddle, but it felt really good. And I think that, so these outrigger canoes that people paddle here in Hawaii are super amazing machines. They're very efficient vehicles for traveling through the ocean. And, in ancient Hawaii, that's how people used to travel from village to village and transport materials, transport people, food, water, warriors. They used to go out there on these canoes and catch fish and surf them, even sail them around, sail across the entire Pacific on these canoes, on the larger ones. And nowadays they have these one-man OC1 canoes is what they're called. OC stands for outrigger canoe, and 1 stands for one person in the canoe. So the OC1s are really light, super fast. You do one paddle stroke and you just glide for like 50 feet almost, depending on how hard you pull.
Maybe for me, like 15 feet.
Yeah, maybe not 50. That might have been an exaggeration, but you get the point. It's like they're super hydrodynamic. So, and if you're paddling them super fast, you can even catch waves on them out at sea, which is super fun. They have a little rudder on them, so they have little like foot steering pedals, and you push the pedal one direction or the other, and that helps guide you to where you want to go.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm stoked. That was really, really fun. I just got to figure out a better way to transport it, because we have our little Camry with its little roof rack situation. And when the wind started picking up, I was trying to load it back onto the roof, on top of these foam pool noodles that are like padding for the one-man canoe. And the wind started picking up, so it was really hard to like stop it from blowing off the roof and tie it down at the same time.
Yeah. We got to build like a little trailer and hitch it to the back of the Camry.
I think there's an easier way to do it on the top of the roof. I just have to make like a little cup, like a mount thing, so that like it cradles the canoe like that, and
Nice.
that way it doesn't get blown around that easy before I.
Is
have
it
a
an
chance to tie it down.
attachment to the Camry, or is that something that's always going to be on the Camry?
It's a roof rack attachment.
Cool.
So you bolt it to the roof rack, and then it just has like this little cradle thing sitting there.
Yeah. I want you to do some paddling races.
Yeah, me too. That would be really fun.
Yeah.
I think that would be awesome, actually.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, super exciting. I want to put paw prints on the dog's paw prints on your canoe, and I want to put my handprints. I also meant to tie tea leaves to your first outing, but you took it out. You slept in, and I was out for a run, and when I got home, you and the canoe were gone. I was like, dang it.
Yeah.
I didn't christen your first outing.
That would be nice. That's really nice of you. Yeah. So if you're taking a maiden voyage on a canoe, here in Hawaii, it's common to put tea leaves on the canoe or the boat for good luck, and to help try to get safe voyage.
Yeah, it's lucky.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
lucky. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, we'll do that next time.
Does it count if it's the second time?
It always counts.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good thing we have tea leaves, so if we gotta like do it a bunch of times,
Yeah.
we can.
Yeah.
So I love that the listeners are mainly asking surfing questions. I get almost no running questions. It's like relationship questions and
Wow, that's so cool. I feel like it's the battle of the titans right now, like running versus surfing.
Dude, this might become a surf podcast.
Yeah, I'm winning.
Yeah, so this was actually from one of my athletes. You are winning. And it's how to train for surfing in a landlocked state. This guy, he was just in Mexico for a surf trip. He's going on 2 different surf trips.
Wow, cool.
And he lives in Colorado in a mountain town. And
Wow.
he loves it. He's
Nice.
like, you know, probably you when you're at Colorado State, you know,
Yeah.
except you didn't train, you were a young buck. So,
Yeah.
and you surf your whole life. Like this guy, he wants to every trip make progress and be able to train for surfing leading up to
Nice.
These trips.
Yeah. Well, that's a really good question. And I actually am landlocked a lot. I go to Texas very often for work. So, you know, I'm landlocked there too. I can't really surf there unless if I go to Waco where there's a surf pool.
That costs like $10,000 a day.
No, that's if you rent out Kelly Slater's Surf Ranch in California. The Waco one is, you know, like $100 for an hour or something.
Oh,
So
I thought that that Kelly Slater built the surf ranch in Waco.
no, it's different ones. And there's different surf pools popping up all over the world now. So if there is one near you, I've never actually surfed in one, but I'm sure that would be a really good way to, like, you know, just get back on the horse.
But what about in winter in Colorado?
Winter in Colorado, yeah. So that is challenging because it's so cold, you know. Some things that I like to do when I'm landlocked, I like to make sure I do lots of rotator cuff exercises, make sure my shoulders are strong. Mm-hmm. And partially because I've had dislocation issues in the past, so I'm always aware of like the strength of my stabilizers in my shoulder. But then when you're surfing, the paddle motion is shoulders and back mostly. And so if you go to the gym, you're able to do like different exercises to strengthen your back and shoulders. There's a whole bunch of exercises that you can do in the gym that really help. For one being like if they have that machine where you bend over and you're able to like, it's basically like a back crunch. Like you like extend your back.
Yeah, but I
Bring your
think
head up.
that if you're, especially for runners, I feel like that's a high impact exercise. So really build up to it. I would like start just doing Supermans on the ground.
Yeah.
So like get into, and that's good for your running too. Just like get into basically that surf position, and literally you can practice paddling while in that prone position.
Yeah.
On the ground.
Yeah.
Another thing that I was just thinking of, and something that I would do and want to do to improve my surfing, is just like when you're watching TV, practice pop-ups. Like commit to doing like 50 pop-ups a night or something, because that is the hardest part.
Yeah, I was about to say that. And popping up and engaging your core the whole time.
Yeah.
And so that you can bring your legs right underneath you and keep them on the same center line. Every single time you pop up, your feet need to be on the center line.
Yeah, so put like duct tape on your floor.
Yeah, I mean, or any other kind of tape that won't make it gross afterwards. But yeah, that's a really good one. And what I do sometimes also is if I want to make it harder on myself, I'll hold weights. I'll go down on the floor, do a push-up, and then basically pop up with weights in my hands. And that way you have to engage your core the whole time.
Yeah. I'd say just like start with lower.
Yeah,
like,
small weights.
Yeah, and then the cool thing is with practicing pop-ups is like you're on the ground, you like paddle. Oh, how dare you? Oh, it's Nick. Tell him we're podcasting. We have a buddy coming over tonight. But like you paddle, and then you pop up, and that's practicing getting in that prone position and working those muscles. Like Carson is very advanced and has been working those super specific muscles his whole life. So like I wouldn't recommend doing one of those gym back crunches for everybody, because that could very easily injure you.
I mean, the longer you've been working out your back muscles, the more sturdy they'll be.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you start light, I mean, always start light in the gym. Like it's never worthwhile to go try to max out your first time back in the gym after a while. But if you start, you try it, and you're like, okay, I did a few of those, I'm sore now, like go ahead and stop before you hurt yourself. And then over time you can build it up. And there's pop-ups. Also, if you're able to find a pool or anywhere you can swim, I mean, swimming is huge, and it's a really good way to sort of, get in the water, work on your breathing techniques.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say next.
Swim underwater. If you can like see how far you can swim underneath the water, and like practice holding your breath while also swimming and exerting yourself under the surface of the water.
Yeah. That's
a pretty big one, because the more comfortable you are in the water, the less fight or flight stress response you'll have when things get kind of dicey, and the less stressed you can be during tense situations, the more logical decisions you'll make. And the more you can be like, okay, this is a huge wave and it's breaking right here. I'm like in the most critical spot, but I'm gonna try to stall even more so I can hang out in the barrel even longer. Or if say the wave does wipe you out, and then you're held under for a long time, that way you're not using up your oxygen as quickly.
Yeah, I'm like, my heart rate is going up just thinking about that. But something else that I think, and this is like just from a coaching perspective, is it's such a unique thing to paddle, and then have to immediately engage your core. And so like I would in the pool do short sprint exercises, like maybe like just like the similar to what I did in the running yesterday or the other day, like paddle for 30 seconds with short rest, like 30-second rest, and then do it again and do that times 10, just because that's what always gets me. It's like the paddling to get into a wave, I get so fatigued on, and that can sometimes get me in trouble.
Yeah. And that's where technique can come in a lot.
Yeah.
Down to like, how do you start paddling for a wave? There's a way that you can submerge the back half of your board and like basically like a cork and then use that to launch yourself forward a little bit faster on the uptake, so that you can, instead of starting just from lying there flat on the water, you're starting with a little bit of momentum already from using your board as a cork to push you forward. And there's a lot of really cool surfing videos online. I think every day I'm probably watching surfing videos, like more than I should be, probably around 30 minutes a day. But just because I'm addicted, but I learn a lot just by watching people that are better than me surf.
Yeah.
And
watch
the
the
more you
spot.
watch them, you can tell like what their techniques are.
Yeah. And watch the spot that you're surfing. Like, you've been looking at videos specifically for Indonesia, like the waves that you're going to be surfing.
Yeah, totally. And that way, if you know like how a wave behaves or how the wave breaks before you get there, that's a pretty huge leg up. So
Yeah.
I'm so stoked for you. Enjoy your Mexico surf trip. Who is it? Max?
No, his name's Penn.
Oh, Penn.
Yeah.
All right, Penn. Let's hear about it, bro. I'm excited
he
for
was
you.
just in Mexico and got hooked, and he's going to a bunch of different places next year with
nice.
his wife. I forget where, but
Cool.
yeah. Keep the surfing questions coming. And also, he's running Never Summer this year, and running Run Rabbit Run. Any Never Summer advice for Penn?
Penn, my brother. You and me are like homies right now. I did Never Summer too. It's tough. I don't know. Eat a lot. Practice your squats. Some really steep parts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah, it'll be fun. He's gonna be ready.
Nice.
Cool. So, the next one was running through injuries, and something that's actually come up a lot with my athletes since Cocodona 250 is Cam Hanes ran Cocodona 250 with a broken foot, allegedly. And, I have some athletes injured right now who are like, what? What the hell? And I have to heal this thing. And yeah, I think like it's tough to tell, and you probably have some good insight on this yourself, but also just watching me go through it and like,
oh man,
what is an injury to run through? What constitutes a running injury? Like, when do you go past the point from niggle to like, fuck, I'm injured? And like, I argue that if you have a broken foot and you can run on it, like, never mind, I take it back, because I could run on my hip. That was very severely injured.
You finished a cross country race on a broken foot one time in high school.
Yeah, but I couldn't have. It was a stress fracture and then turned into a compound fracture where my bone was popping out of my foot. So, like, don't recommend.
Wow.
Shouldn't do that. I strongly advise my athletes and anybody listening that if you have something that is impacting every single step, don't continue running on it. It's not worth it. And, for someone like Cam Hanes, there's a couple things there. First of all, his whole job is to be in good physical condition, and he has the resources and connections to pour a lot into his health and what he's doing. He has, just from personally knowing him and hearing what he does for his body, yeah, he pushes super hard, and he doesn't actually recover that well, because he always is going hard, but then he'll like go down to Mexico and get stem cells, or like go see the best doctors, and he has just like such incredible resources that can help him through, and the time to do that. Again, his whole income right now depends on him being able to do these races, and he like kind of had to show up to Cocodona 250 because that's what he said he was going to do, and that's kind of part of his brand. But
did he start the race with a broken foot?
Yeah, he started the race with a broken foot.
Oh, like it's fully broken? Did you talk to him?
I didn't talk to him.
Didn't ask him?
I didn't ask him. I should probably, but
we're like, what are you doing, man?
I know.
Crazy. That is crazy. He's such a hammer. Like, talk about a pain threshold. He seems like, if I saw him bum rushing me in the street, I would be terrified.
Dude. He's fast too. Like, he can sprint.
Yeah, isn't his 5K like 18 minutes or something? or 17.
I don't know what his PR is.
He's pretty
but
fast
Yeah.
for like a big muscular guy. That's really
Yeah, but
fast.
the other thing is he's super, super jacked,
Yeah.
but he's also pretty small. Like, you know,
Yeah.
so like it makes sense that he definitely, I would say, seems he's been training as an athlete his whole life. So he's like, you know, you train as a runner your whole life, you're like built to run. You know, you get super efficient no matter what. But anyway, he is, so like running while injured, learning how to run through pain and how to distinguish what's an injury and what's a niggle, I think that is a super important skill, because as athletes and as runners, I mean, even you through surfing, you know, there's always going to be something that you're dealing with.
Yeah, you know, and overuse injuries in running are especially common. Like, you don't want to build too much too quickly, and if you do, you can injure yourself. Typically, I will get like tendonitis or like inflammation in one of my ligaments.
Yeah.
But sometimes it could become worse than that. And same with surfing. If I go from 0 to 60 and surf a lot every day right away, sometimes like I'll start to get tendonitis in my elbows or like in other parts of my arms and upper body.
Totally. And like, I think the thing is to build slow. Don't let the alarm bells go off at every single little pain, because there will be pains. There will be some stuff, you know, you're going to get tight and you're going to like, oh, I feel my knee a little bit. I feel my quad a little bit, you know. But distinguishing an injury from one of those niggles or tightness, and the niggles and tightness, that's just part of the sport. But if it's changing your gait, I would shut it down. I would, if you're thinking about it every single step, I would shut it down. And if you like start the run and it's okay and it gets progressively worse throughout the run and or it impacts your life after you run, you know, take a break. And I'd say, you know, hell yeah to Cam for being able to do 250 miles on a broken foot. I don't know details. So like, who knows how broken it was, who knows where, but good for him. That's, you know, he definitely has a super high pain threshold, as he's proven before. However, here, you know, if you do that, you're risking maybe having to get surgery. When I got that compound fracture, I almost had to get surgery in my foot, and that would have, you know, taken me out for the track season and who knows how long afterward. Mm-hmm. And also, like, Cam doesn't have kids at the house. He doesn't, you know, his job is to exercise and recover and to bow hunt. And if he gets injured and can't, you know, he can still make some content and get by. Think about if it's worth it.
Yeah, totally. And when I was listening to you, I was thinking of like, you know, a lot of your injuries and my injuries too. Like a lot of it has to do with like basically a lot of our strength emanates out from our spine. And you know, if my neck is messed up, it could be causing problems down the line, like down in my elbow or even in my fingers, you know. If my lower spine is sore or like around my spine is tight, or if I haven't stretched my hips enough, then that will cause stress. It'll pull on my ligaments that go down my leg, and that could lead to further inflammation.
Yeah, or
in like
there's
my
a bunch
ACL
of
or something.
nerves. Yeah, likely with low back stuff, it's often calf and foot pain. So there's like a direct link between like low back pain and plantar injuries, and whether that's
plantar, and knees too. Like I got my knees started hurting, and when I started stretching my hips a lot, it basically went away.
Yeah, totally.
So I mean,
well, that's quad too, probably.
Yeah, I'd say like that's pretty important when you're looking at like what the source cause is for an injury, because it's not always just your foot. It might be your hips that's pulling on your foot.
Yeah.
Or pulling on your leg, that's pulling on your knee, that's pulling on your ligament, that's pulling on your foot. Totally. All the different parts I don't know the names of, but
running
you get
has
the point.
Taught me more than anything how much everything is connected.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we're just a bunch of levers. You pull on one lever and you don't know which lever is going to get really tight.
Yeah, we're super complex electromagnetic contraptions that need very specific water and sodium and energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're pretty our bodies are amazing.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Well, how do you feel about running on drugs? That was another question.
Yeah. Well, to open that up a little bit and talk about that, I was talking to my buddy Kieran, and, you know, he was discussing, there's some pretty amazing feats that people do while they're inebriated. Like, he was talking about some football players that Marshawn Lynch, who'd like drink Hennessy before going out and like winning a football game. And Marshawn Lynch was also a gangster in the NFL. I think he's retired now. Do you know this guy? I don't know him personally, but I've heard about him.
He's the guy that would show up to, he like had to go to press releases.
Okay.
You know, it's part of your contract. You have to go talk to the people, and otherwise you get fined. And so to every question he said, "I'm just here so I don't get fined." Every question for like 30 minutes. "I'm just here so I don't get fined." And he's also, I forget, it's been like 10 years since I've seen this, plus probably more, but he also like was obsessed with Skittles and like started talking about Skittles. And so he was a freaking gangster.
That's so funny.
In a lot of ways. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that being said, I know that your stories from back in the day, it's like some of the OG ultra runners in Northern California, like the true, dirtbag runner, gangster people, they would like drink beer and run. You would drink beer all weekend and basically just run on beer. Like,
yeah, it was absurd.
Are there any like standout athletes that will drink beer maybe while they're running a race?
I think less so now. You know, Camille Herron famously drank beer during one of her world records. I think like now as the sport professionalizes, you can't just like chug a bunch of beer and be cool. Like literally what he's talking about is I would drink a ton of beer with my buddies, then run rim to rim to rim, and then drink a ton of beers after, or like drink a ton of beers before campfire, go run a 50K the next day, like it's 5:30 in the morning, and then drink a ton of beers afterward. Just insane stuff. Yeah, but like I think, you know, running on drugs, I've run on THC before, and I personally just wanted to sit on a rock. I was like, who does this? I just want to hang out and go. Walking sounds way nicer.
Instead of running, you're like, I need some water. I need to sit down and drink some water.
Yeah.
Or some juice.
Or just like, la, 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 la.
Yeah.
Michael Versteeg ran Cocodona 250 on mushies.
Oh, wow.
And my Satisfied teammate. But funny enough, I think he told me at camp that was like, he's known to be the mushroom guy now. And I think that was his like second time ever doing mushrooms.
No way.
Yeah.
Did he love it? Did he say it was a good experience?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember what he said.
Was it a standout performance?
I don't know which one he did it on because he's done Cocodona a bunch of times. I should have asked more information before we talked about this, but I think like you do you. I think there's different reasons why people run, and I think as the sport progresses and these reasons go, separate, there's performance and there's like exploration. And I think the exploration people are going to just be in a completely different category because performance is so scientific now. You can't just like go run in the mountains and show up to a race and win races anymore. You have to be super specific. You have to treat it like a professional sport. And
well, I mean, how's the NFL? There's way more money in the NFL than American ultra running.
That's so true. I don't know, but again, Marshawn Lynch was a freak. He was like a freak athlete, one of the best athletes in history. Didn't care. Who knows why he was drinking Hennessy. That's crazy. But also, football isn't running. Football, it's like so much more skill.
It's a lot of like calisthenic. You have to really be able to place a ball like way over there 30 yards away in an
but
instant.
not only that, it's like strategy and
Yeah, true.
It's like moving chess pieces on a board in a lot of ways. And, in ultra running and running in general, it's like a fitness competition. It's like what peak level can I get my body? And obviously that helps in football, but it's not everything, because if somebody, there's a lot of really good athletes, and again, I'm talking out of my ass here about football, but at least half of it is having like a good game IQ.
So, yeah.
Where like you're just, your body's got to be kind of a temple a little bit.
Yeah.
To get them to squeeze the most out of yourself over the course of 100 miles.
Yeah, if you're like a trained and true professional. But for somebody who's not competing at the top 0.01%, like, it's a lot of it is a spiritual journey. Totally. And that's one thing that I noticed when I did my first 100K, which is the Never Summer 100K. It was like, wow, I'm going through a spiritual journey right now. I traveled to places in my mind that I've never been to in any other way, any other frame of reference or like state of mind. I was able to experience life and the trail in a way that I've never been to before. And before then, I had never run longer than,
50K.
10 hours.
Had you run 10 hours before?
No, maybe like 8 hours.
When did you run 8 hours?
We've done a 40 miler on Mono Road, and that took like, 7 hours or something?
Yeah, that was 7 hours.
It took a while. So like, I ran, 10 hours further than that. And that, each hour you go longer than that, it's like your mind it's like a rabbit hole. You just go deeper and deeper, and you start to you have to unlock new things within yourself to keep running.
That's so funny, because you say rabbit hole, and my mind just it's like a rabbit hole, yeah, but it's like gets narrower and narrower. You know and I feel like
what's truly important, like you're like, okay, I'm not so much worried about like the finer details anymore. Because after a while, I see your eyes glaze over, and you become like an animal.
Gel, step.
You're like, food, salt, water. Where is she? I'm hunting down number 4. And then you're like hunt her in the night, and then I see you at the next aid station with like blood on your face, and you're like, I took down number 4. I'm now number 4. Where's number 3? It's pretty sick. I honestly really love it. But with ultra running, I feel like it is a really kind of like a spiritual journey. And that's, how a lot of people see psychedelic experiences. It's a different state of consciousness that you can experience reality through.
Yeah. So basically what we're saying is that running ultras is drugs.
Yeah, exactly. It's a pretty, totally. It's a pretty psychedelic experience in itself. So try an ultra, kids.
Yeah, seriously, do it. Especially you ladies, we need more of you. All right, we have 2 things that we wanted to talk about. I think we might have time for both. Foot pics or long distance relationship advice. One of the questions we came up with ourselves, the other was a listener question. Guess which one was which?
Let's see. Should we elaborate on the foot pics? I just can't stop thinking about foot pics ever since you said foot pics.
Yeah, so we have a mortgage now, and we're trying to figure out creative ways to pay it, and I'm seriously considering selling photos of my feet. I feel like it's one of those things where I'm like, and my dad listens to this podcast, but I'm like, what would my dad think? What would my dad think about that way?
Yeah, it's one of those funny things, Kat has this joke about like how like she like sometimes her whole foot will like scab off. Like,
it's not a joke. It happens. It's like a full flap of skin.
Your feet look disgusting after 100 miles, especially after Mexico.
Yeah,
when you're running 120 miles for 36 hours through like constantly wet terrain. Yeah. Your feet looked insane. I mean, if you did decide to sell like a picture of your feet or your socks or something. I know that there's like some people out there that would really appreciate that. And I only know this because I have an ex-girlfriend that sold her
I know.
feet
So
pics at one
right
point.
before this episode, you let it leak that one of your exes sold foot pics.
Yeah, we don't need to go into that too far. All right?
No. All I want to know is just like logistics.
Logistics. Yeah, we'll talk off the air.
No,
but
on the air.
On the air?
Yeah. This is the funny stuff
All right.
that my new podcaster friend said was.
So all I remember was that there was like this this site called like Foot Finder or something. Really, really interesting stuff. And she would like, these random dudes would be like, oh wow, like you're cute. Can I have a picture of your feet and like your socks and stuff? And
So she had to post a photo of her face.
I think so.
That's where
I didn't go on there. I don't know.
I'm like, I don't really want my face attached to the feet, but I guess I'm talking about it now. So, like, but that's the thing is like, again, what would my dad say?
Yeah, I mean, there's also like the whole world of like, you know, selling yourself online, and like what is acceptable to you, what isn't, what might degrade your own self-worth over time.
Okay,
like, that's
but here's the
an important
key.
question,
I
too.
think this is a different debate because I think I'm all for empowered sex work. You know,
Okay,
there's
yeah.
always going to be sex work. It's existed throughout time. And I think the internet and OnlyFans and everything, that's like a way for women to, or the sex worker who have male woman to take, or, you know, trans people to take advantage of the system and to be powerful in it. You know, for historically, sex work has been controlled by somebody else who didn't actually participate in the sex work. You know,
Yeah.
and it's been super abusive. It's been violent. And so like with opportunities like the internet and OnlyFans, it's letting sex workers take control of their career in a safe way, in a way that they're comfortable with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you. And it's kind of fascinating because, you know, like prostitution is the oldest like career.
Yeah.
So I've heard. I mean, I don't know, but basically since agriculture, I think that I've heard that people have been doing that. So yeah, fascinating stuff, but
you know, it is tricky,
anyways,
like where that line is for you. Like it is a very personal decision and a personal thing.
And you know, not everyone, I would say, like, for those of you listening, you might not everybody might want to see a picture of your feet post ultra. That maybe should be something that's like,
well,
you probably shouldn't post it on your Instagram. You're like, check out these fucking gnarly things right here.
I used to, but I don't anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you could. It's pretty rowdy.
It's so, and people do. But I haven't, because I think my feet might be just like a special case.
No. I mean, maybe, I don't know, but
dude,
I'm not checking out everyone else's feet. I don't post ultra, but
yeah.
I know it's like it's, you know, you've put some serious miles under your feet, and so like obviously they're gonna look pretty haggard.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so
I
how
don't
much
know.
money did she make per post?
I don't know.
You don't remember?
No.
Fuck.
If anyone out there knows, Kat is dying for information.
Yeah, I just want to know, actually, and I don't really want to post a photo of my face. I mean, I don't know. I probably will never do it. And I think it's a joke amongst a lot of people. I was talking to another one of my friends who, she's actually an athlete that I coach too, and she was saying that she was considering doing, and same thing, like loves her job in a tight financial situation. And I think it's like in the back of everybody's mind, especially women. They're like, seems like a safe alternative for me, something where I might be comfortable with, but it's like a line.
Yeah, and I think it's important to, before you just jump right in, and like at least just think about how will it make you feel now? How will it make you feel later? Don't just do anything without thinking about it.
Yeah.
So.
And probably talk to your spouse about it if you have one.
That too.
Which, our last question, long distance relationships,
Yeah.
how we do it. Your first response, they were like, how do you do it? And your first response was like, not well, which I disagreed with.
No, I don't think I said it.
Yes, you
not
did.
Well.
But you were joking.
Yeah. I think the concept was like, how do you do long distance relationship?
Well, also like going after things that you both care about. And
no, I was totally joking when I was like talking shit, but
I know.
it is tough, sometimes it's not easy, especially when you both need to be in different places of the world for extended periods of time. And, sometimes your job will take you somewhere and then you'll get home and right as my job is taking me somewhere and then we don't even cross over that much.
Or we will for a few days.
But you and I both have some luxury on our hands that we were able to like have a fairly flexible schedule as far as location, because I don't have to be in one place for like a super specific amount of time. It's more like I got to help make sure that the job gets done. And if the job is done, then we're good. But I mean, my job is taking me away too. So it's not easy. I would say like some priorities is just making sure that you are able to talk a lot and not only just talk, but like have intentional conversations. I'd say 20 minutes of intentional conversations is better than an hour of like,
nonsense.
Of like, oh, I'm talking to you, but I'm also scrolling Instagram at the same time.
Yeah, or doing something else, you know. I think another thing is, which is probably the hardest part, is if you're feeling some type of way, if you're feeling, insecure about the relationship, say it immediately so it doesn't fester. Like, I always say, like, I'm feeling needy. Like, I need more right now because I miss you and I'm sad.
But it took you a long time to like feel comfortable enough to say things like that. And saying, unless if it's like a running joke between both of you, like just coming at me like, I feel needy, like pay attention to me. It depends on your relationship. Maybe not necessarily starting with those words, but being honest. I think honesty is the most important thing that anyone has in life, really. If you don't have honesty, especially with your partner, then like, what do you have? And in life, if you want people to trust you, you have to show them time and time again that you're honest. If you are honest with somebody 10 times and dishonest with them once, that one time of being dishonest basically erases the other 10 times. And that's a psychological phenomenon I learned about selling, is like, and marketing. It's like one negative experience outdoes 10 positive experiences that a customer might have.
That's so funny because like reading reviews too is the same thing. Like I'll read like 50 good reviews and maybe this is just because I'm cheap too. So like I'm always looking for excuses not to buy the thing that I want to buy. But then one bad review out of like 50 good ones, I'll be like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, you want to make a good decision, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to waste your time, your energy that you accumulated in the form of money. I mean, money is kind of like energy. You can spend it. And if you have excess money, you can spend it to use other people's energy to do your work for you. You're like, okay, I have $1,000. Will you go and build my fence instead of me pounding away and building my fence? It's like, it's energy. So if you know that somebody else does a really sloppy job building fences and they're not even going to finish the fence for $1,000, you don't want to hire that person. You don't want to buy like a bad product and waste your time and your energy on them.
And I feel like when you're in a like doing distance, especially when, I'm really focused on my thing and Carson's really focused on his thing, it's really hard. Sometimes it's, if you're feeling some type of way, it's harder to be honest because it's vulnerable. It's like, and
that is tough. I have to pull it out of you sometimes.
Yeah.
When you're like, you're not, I can tell you're like not feeling happy, but you're not really telling me exactly why. I'm just be like, why? What's wrong? Tell me what's wrong, you know? And I'm pretty good at being persistent, being like, what the heck? Like, why aren't you telling me? Tell me what's wrong.
I don't know.
I'm like,
I
but
know,
in a
thank
nice
God
way.
you do that.
But you know, I think that in the end of the day, like, even if you feel like you might be judged, just being like telling somebody why you're feeling a certain way, and like, trying not to like making sure that they don't feel like they're to blame, be like, oh, I feel this way because of you.
If they are,
it's a lot harder
tell
to
them that
accept
too.
that.
You know, if
Yeah,
there
that's
is
true.
something, then you got to tell them.
There's
But you
something
got
that
to get it out immediately.
Just got to be honest.
Yeah, in long distance, because things fester, especially when you're apart, and that's bad.
Yeah. And if your lady or your man or your person is feeling really sad, like, you can just send them some flowers and a sweet note.
That sounds like a trick that you've used before.
It is. It works. Do it.
It does work.
Yeah.
And I know it's a trick, and I still fall for it every time.
It's not a trick. It's just,
you're right.
It's just a nice thing.
It's an
to do
olive
for
branch.
Well, I didn't give you olive branches. I think I gave you like roses or something.
Yeah, no, I didn't think it was roses, but it was pretty flowers.
Yeah, other pretty like wild flowers.
But an olive branch, that's a saying. You know that, right?
So you can eat olives off of it?
No, olive branch. When you give somebody an olive branch, it's like a truce. I forget the origin of that, but that's like a famous saying that like this is like extending an olive branch is like a truce.
Oh, yeah, war with your person? Yeah, if you're at war, then wave the white flag and come to the closing table with an olive branch.
Yeah.
I'm just playing. But
follow for more marriage tips.
Yeah, more marriage tips. That's such a funny video that we made yesterday.
I know. We've been having fun with Instagram.
Cat poured beer on my face.
I'll link to it. Oh yeah, we started talking about that, our Athletic Brewing ad.
Yeah, super funny.
Cool.
It's good stuff. I like the Athletic Brew.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks for listening. This is either episode 43 or 44. Don't forget to give us 5 stars, especially if you really like it. But even if you don't.
Yeah, I don't care if you like it or not. Just give us 5 stars.
We want to grow this thing. Dang it. Comment, interact with the podcast in any way, shape, or form.
Comment, thumbs up, or like, any sort of emoji you want. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but no bad reviews, because just like we talked about, listening is a commitment. So 5 stars no matter what.
If you give us a negative review, you have to find at least 10 friends that give us 5 stars.
Yeah, and positive reviews.
And positive reviews.
And also, if you don't like something about it, just DM us personally.
Yeah, keep it a secret.
Yeah, and we will help you and convince you that you actually do like the podcast.
Yep, we will.
All right, any last words?
All right, well, we love you, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
Love you guys. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Yo. Hey, man.